Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, January 5th, 2017. I'm James Spencer here at Basic Brewing Radio. We're all about home brewing. This week, Steve Wilkes and I take advantage of some beautiful weather and sample a split porter experiment on my porch. If you're new to home brewing and would like to get into the hobby for the first time, check out our website, basicbrewing.com, where you can find archives of our audio and video podcasts and our DVDs to walk you through basic and more advanced brewing techniques. And if you buy any of our DVD combos, you get a free Basic Brewing bottle opener. And don't forget to get a copy of our Brewer's Logbook. You can use it to log and track up to 50 batches of beer. You can follow me on Twitter. My username is Basic Brewing, all one word. We also have a Basic Brewing Radio and Basic Brewing video page on the Facebook at facebook.com/basicbrewing. Thanks again to everybody clicking on the Amazon.com associate link on our basicbrewing.com site. Whenever you think of Amazon shopping, think of us first and click on our Amazon ad on the right-hand side of basicbrewing.com. It won't cost you any extra, but you'll be helping us to bring you the show, and we greatly appreciate your support. We also have associate links for Brew Your Own magazine, the American Homebrewers Association, on our site as well. You can find our Basic Brewing iPhone app on iTunes, our Android app at Amazon.com. We have a Windows Phone app. We're on the BlackBerry Podcast Directory. We're on the Stitcher app. We're on the Google Play Music, and we're on the iHeartRadio app as well. And if you want to put a tip in our tip jar, some coinage in our virtual guitar case, you can go to basicbrewing.com/support, and thanks to everybody who's done so already. And those of you who currently subscribe to the podcast financially or have done so, contributed to one-time contributions over the past year, should have an email in your inbox from yesterday that I sent with a link to the most recent bonus video. In this video, Steve shows you how to cook up a quick and delicious seafood au gratin. Man, that was tasty. And I'm using MailChimp for the first time to try to better manage the subscription lists. So if you don't see it, if you subscribe, or if you sent us a contribution last year, check the address that you use PayPal with, and or check your junk box if you don't see it, and drop me a line if you don't get it for some reason. We'll check that out. I want to start sending occasional email messages to regular subscribers with goodies every now and then. For instance, you may get a link to a video podcast if I post it to the server early. And speaking of the video side of things, Steve and I shot a Basic Brewing video episode this week about the beers that we'll sample on this show, and that should be out by Friday. I got a couple of notes saying, I'm not into the low-gravity beers and all the rye experiments and all that. When are you going to get back to more normal gravity beers, more normal beers? Well, this week, we're back to normal. The porter is close to 6%, and I'm very happy with how it turned out, especially with the added flavors in the secondary. So be on the lookout for that. And I'm contemplating. I've got a bottle of sorghum syrup, sorghum molasses that was made here locally that I need to do something with. And it's been a while since I did a Belgian, so I'm thinking about doing a like a Belgian Burnet or something like that, using that sorghum syrup in that beer. So, maybe going higher in the gravity. Speaking of high gravity, man, I'm Mr. Segway. Let's have a quick word from our sponsors, Desiree and Dave of High Gravity in Tulsa. High Gravity is being forced to move, but it's going to end up being a good thing. Their current location is going to be demolished, but they have found a new location close by. Desiree's posted a video tour of the new place. Demolition has started on the new place, and you can find that video at youtube.com/highgravitybrew. And there's also another video there of Desiree brewing in the kitchen, showing how to use one of their Warthog electric brewery controllers. The new store is going to be huge. It's just amazing. And a part of it is going to be a tasting room for their brewery that they're starting up. That's right. High Gravity is starting a brewery, just like they make wine and sell wine. they'll be making beer there on premises, and they'll sell growlers there on site, along with having the tasting room. Very cool. To help with the expenses of the move, they're having a GoFundMe campaign. So if you go to GoFundMe.com and search for High Gravity, you'll find that. And the rewards that you get from contributing range from having a free glass of beer or wine with every visit to free beer kits. Once a quarter you can get a free beer kit. That is going to be a really good deal on that. And you can have a beer kit named after you. Fun stuff like that. So the last time I checked, they were almost halfway to their goal. And, of course, during all this, they're still making and selling awesome electric brewing gear. So check out our friends at High Gravity at highgravitybrew.com. Now, after we recorded the video podcast for this week, Steve and I retired to the porch to enjoy some good beer, good weather, and good company. Steve Wilkes, welcome to the porch.
Thanks, James. It's a pleasure to be here.
Here we are on January 2nd. Is that right? And it's like 75 degrees outside, or it feels extremely warm, and it's a beautiful day.
It's very spring-like. It's very nice out here today on your porch.
Yeah, and so we're enjoying some porters. We just shot the video episode showing how I made these beers, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of spend the first show of the new year with you and talk about these beers and kind of sample some beers and just have a kind of a relaxing conversation and ease into 2017.
That's right. And we're doing this with 3 porters, which is really from the same batch, but you split them out. So we've got a base beer, a base porter. We've got one that's toasted coconut and one that's a mole porter. And I'm going to have the mole removed later on this week.
And we're joined by dogs.
Yes.
This is little Allie. Allie, why don't you... Oh, and Jessie. She's the hyper one. Okay, now, here, sit down. Not you, Steve. Heel. Would you like to open the base porter, while I talk about how I made it? This is Basic Brewing in the Wild here. Okay, it's 10 pounds or 4.5 kilograms of American two-row, 8 ounces or 226 grams of 120 Lovibond Crystal, 8 ounces or 226 grams of chocolate malt, and 8 ounces or 226 grams of black patent. So we have two-row, we have 120 Lovibond Crystal, we have chocolate malt, and we have black patent. I did this brew in a bag, and I used the High Gravity Warthog EBC 130 controller that Desiree and Dave gave me to play with, and that was handy because it's got the mash setting, and then it's got a boil setting, and it's got a timer, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's way better than the Nimbus 2000. I got that at Hogwarts. I like the Warthog a lot better.
That's a Harry. I got that. That's a Harry Potter reference. And then the hops. I got to talk about hops. 1 ounce or 28 grams of Fuggle, which sounds like something you'd major in at Hogwarts.
That's right.
Professor Fuggle. For 60 minutes, 1 ounce or 28 grams of Fuggles for 5 minutes, and then I deviated from the style. I used the USO5. I used an American ale yeast to ferment rather than an English ale yeast. Starting gravity 1055, final gravity 1012, and then the ABV 5.7%. So we're going to taste the base beer first. And what I did was, Allie, get your nose out of Steve's crotch.
Normally, I'd like that.
No extra charge. So what I did was, when the beer was finished fermenting, I used an auto siphon, and my wife helped, and my wife Susan helped, and we bottled 12 bottles of the beer plain and used the little priming tablets to prime the beers. So what we have is the base beer with nothing else in it.
Super good. It isn't quite as estery as if you had it. Whoa, I got a dog in my crotch. Hello, Cheryl.
Sorry.
It's okay.
This is Porter Porch. Porter.
It is interesting, though, that the US-05 does leave a really clean beer. I mean, there's just no yeast character in this beer at all, and you would expect that in a more traditional porter.
Yeah, it doesn't have the kind of fruity ester profile that you might expect otherwise. But, I don't know that that's a bad thing in this beer.
No, it's not. It's very tasty. And it's got a nice little roastiness. If it were just a little bit more bitter, but meaning from roasted malts, it would almost be a stout. But it's just a good right down the middle porter.
Yeah, I was thinking if I were to do this again, I think I would experiment and add like half a pound or 226 grams. Tora!
It's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock, Charlie. I think Father Mulcahy will be out in a moment.
Oh, too soon. Help the bombardier. Yeah. Okay. In the flight path. Oh my God. So I would. If I were to do this again just to play, I would add like half a pound or 226 grams of roasted barley to see if some of that stout character could be added in there.
Yeah, and that would be very interesting. And the other thing that you might try would be to add a little biscuit malt. Just a little Victory or a little biscuit, and that would give it a little bit more of that breadiness. It's kind of nice.
But this is for almost a 6% beer. It's pretty easy drinking.
Oh yeah, I can attest to that. It's our second show.
And these next pours I'm going to make smaller because this one's pretty big.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, you poured it. That's right. So while we're sipping these, why don't you give us an update on Steve's Brew Shop? How are things been? How long have you been in business? About is it been 2 months yet?
No, it's just been a month. I've been open since November the 26th. So it's just been right at a month, just a couple of days more than a month. Everything is going great. I've got all the business I can handle. No, I don't. I need much more. But by that I mean, it's been an interesting learning curve. I've made a few rookie mistakes, but nothing too bad. And business is good. Folks are very receptive. I'm working diligently to try to get the website open, and we'll get that up as quickly as possible. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun learning everyone's name and remembering my own.
Have you had any starstruck moments? I mean, people when they see you out in the public, at these beer events and stuff, you can tell the people that have listened to us for a while because they're like, oh, there's Steve, and they want a picture taken and all that stuff. Have you had people come into the shop with sort of celebrity sighting kind of things?
Yes, I have. I've had several. One guy made a point to have his picture made with me, and luckily there was another person there to take the photo, so that was nice. Actually, there's been a few people that have had their photos made. I've had folks drive in from Texarkana. Two different customers came up, and though I'm certain they were here for the holidays and didn't drive all this way just to see me, but they made a point to come to the store and get to see the shop. And I've had a bunch of people drop in. I won't say from hundreds of miles away, but from a distance, and say, well, I've been watching the videos for years and years, and I really just wanted to come and see the store. And actually, a few people have said, I want to come and see the store, so I start to give them the tour. Oh, I've already watched the video. So I know where everything is. But so yeah, there's been a fair amount of that for sure, and that's very gratifying.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to have you there. They say don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, well.
So there's a risk, if you have a bad day.
What do you want? Oh, sorry.
Whoops.
Oops.
So that's awesome. It's I haven't for one reason or another I haven't been down there as much as I've hoped to. But maybe now that the holidays are over, maybe I can remedy that and be down there more often. But yeah, people seem to. Are they after a rabbit? What's going on down there? Oh, she's okay. All right, enough dog talk.
Welcome to Dog Talk. I'll give you a topic. Border Collie. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. All right. Quit dogs. Okay. All right. We're drinking out of the fine crystal here. I said on the video podcast, usually we drink out of these little plain tumblers, and but I only have 5 of them. We had 3 beers, so I had to break out the fine crystal that we got 25 years ago when my wife and I were first married. I think this is the first time we've used them for anything.
I think the beer tastes better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At a fine, and I think it's leaded crystal because I'm feeling stupider. So, I don't know if you want to use the yard as a dump bucket. I won't be offended. I'm going to finish. I live here, so I'm going to finish the rest of mine. Do you want to open the dogs?
I feel like I'm in the Christmas Story, and the turkey's on the table.
Little Farkases! Regular Farkases!
Dad broke out his best words that day. I'll never forget it. And then the tire went flat. Oh, fudge!
Okay, you want to open the coconut porter? God, this is the most out of control episode I think I've ever had.
This never happens on CBS.
Oh, all right. She's going crazy. She's running around the dog. All right. I'm sorry. I have to finish this.
Chug, chug, chug.
All right. Pouring the coconut porter now. Now, this is the same beer as before, and what I did was I racked the beer from the main carboy. With my wife's help, we split the beer between 2 Mr. Beer fermenters. And I have to say, you can say a lot of bad things about Mr. Beer. I don't, necessarily think you should, but there are many positive things to say about Mr. Beer. One of the things is their little keg fermenter, this little brown plastic fermenter. It's real handy to split batches of beer and to add ingredients, and to do small batches of 2 gallons. And the last time I checked, you could buy one of those for like $10 on their website. So, it's a tool that I use. But anyway, I took and I split the remainder of the beer into these 2 Mr. Beer fermenters. In one, I put a package of toasted coconut flakes, and this is 5.3 ounces or 150 grams. And I went to the grocery store, and I was just going to buy the regular, flaked coconut, which is these little flakes. And I was kind of worried that they would work their way through the netting of the grain bag, which is what I used. I used just a cotton grain bag that I soaked in iodophor solution for a couple minutes, and then I squeezed as much as the iodophor solution out as I could, and then I put the steeping ingredients in, or the aging ingredients. And I was worried that some of that toasted coconut would grated coconut would work its way out. Well, I found this bag, and I've forgotten the brand, but it's toasted coconut flakes, and it was kind of like shaved coconut, but that had been toasted. So they're big hunks of coconut. So you don't have to worry about them going through the bag. And tasting that, it's really delicious coconut. I had to, slap my hand to keep from eating more of it. But these little slivers of coconut were very, very tasty, very, toasted and coconutty. So I put the whole bag in there, and I let the beer sit on that for like a week and a half to 2 weeks. Agitate, every couple of days I'd come down. And another good thing about the Mr. Beer Fermenter is you can sample out of the little spigot. Mm-hmm. So you can tell how the beer's coming along. So every couple 3 days I'd come down and sample just a little bit. And then I would squirt some, I have a spray bottle of Star San that I would squirt up into the spigot there. But after I sampled. But then, I would agitate the fermenter a little bit after each sample. So anyway, the beer sat on that, and then I bottled. Another advantage: you can bottle right out of that spigot. Bottled right out of that, and primed each bottle with those carbonation tablets. So anyway, here you go. There's the same porter on just those toasted coconut flakes for like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
I like this very much, and I like it better than the base beer. We had already sampled this, of course, during the video shoot, but I really like this a lot, and I like that those big hunks of coconut is a way to use that. That's a really good thing to have stumbled across, and I suppose if you wanted to go to the trouble to make your own, it would be a good way to do that. Just flake it off, from the fresh coconut. But this just has a lovely flavor. The coconut is not too strong, and not too toasty either. It's not like I'm chewing on, toast. I mean, but the coconut comes through very nicely, and I think it actually softens and kind of rounds the beer out a little bit, and I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little concerned that the oil from the coconut would be detrimental to the beer in some way. And since I've been talking, the head has subsided, and I can't really tell if it's affected the head retention in a negative way. But it had a nice little head on the beer. But I think it's it does round out the beer, and it sort of subdues. Do you think it subdues some of the hop bitterness, or how do you describe that roundedness?
Well, actually, the minute you said coconut oil, I thought, okay, that's exactly what it's done. The oil has kind of, just softened the mouthfeel as much as anything, I think. But for me, it softened not the hoppiness. It softened a little bit of the roastiness, from the roasted grains, from the chocolate malt and the black patent malt. And so it just kind of took the edge off of them. It's like if the knife was really sharp, now the knife isn't quite as sharp. And it appeals to me.
I think it's a well-balanced beer still.
Yeah.
It's not like it's sweet now.
Oh, no, it's not sweet at all. I mean, the coconut didn't add any sweetness to it. Just the flavor of coconut.
It's kind of like a Mounds bar.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't.
Fans of American advertising will know what we're talking about. Did you hear the owl?
I did.
I don't know. I got the mic gain turned down. You might not, but we have two great horned owls that hoot at each other.
Yep.
And you may or not be hearing those along with the airplanes and the dogs and and the wind and the cars.
We've got a nesting pair of hoot owls too, big barn owls, and we can't find our dog. I'm starting to worry.
All right.
Okay, that's the coconut porter.
Shall we move on?
Let us move on.
All right. You're going to use the spit yard instead of the spit bucket.
Not me. I finished mine.
All right. Beer
number 3.
Beer number 3. Okay. All right. This is the third beer.
That's why we call it beer number 3.
Hence the name Beer number 3.
Nothing gets by you.
Okay. If you'll remember, we sampled the beers from Gard Karlsness, who runs the pilot brewery of Oos Brewing Company, the Bryggerhuset. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
If you're not, you're quite remarkable.
So anyway, that's what it. Gard really he's the one that inspired this round of beers, because I was like, we had that Christmas beer that he made with the cacao nibs and the coconut together in one beer, and man, it was so good that I wanted to make something like that. But then once I got all the ingredients together, I was like, I think I'll split the coconut away and see if I can just do a plain coconut beer. Yeah. And then I had my cacao nibs, or cocoa nibs. I had 3.5 ounces, or 100 grams, of cacao nibs, or cocoa nibs. 3 small ancho chilies, dried. And then 1 large cinnamon stick. And what I did was I did the same treatment. I put those in the cotton bag, the grain bag, and I put those in the Mr. Beer fermenter, and I let those sit in there for a week, and at the same time, week and a half, 2 weeks, just to see if I could have kind of a mole. This is it sort of mimics the mole beer that I did a while back. So that's what we got. We got cocoa nibs, or cacao nibs, ancho chilies, and then a cinnamon stick. And when I bottled it, I was disappointed that I wasn't getting much cinnamon. But it's interesting because, what do you taste, Steve?
Cinnamon. I think the cinnamon just pops right out on this. It's nice and spicy, which I'm sure is coming from the chilies, but also from the cinnamon as well. I mean, they really play to each other. So it's got that kind of bright, it's cinnamon. I mean, if you ever chewed on cinnamon toothpicks, when you were a little kid,
yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah.
That's what this kind of reminds me of, without the grain or the splinters in my gums.
Yeah, I remember in 7th grade or in junior high, kids would come to school with a little vial of cinnamon oil with cinnamon, or with the toothpicks in it.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah, it was a thing. And you had to buy them.
Yeah.
I mean, these little loan sharks were going around selling them for a nickel a piece, It
was a quarter in my day.
Wow. I'm older than you.
You could buy a car for a quarter in your time. But yeah, no. To me, the flavor of the anchos come out. I could almost, when I taste it, I taste cinnamon, and I taste kind of ancho seeds. I taste those seeds because I didn't take them out. The thing that I would like to taste more of is more chocolate. I don't think the coconut or coconut, the cacao nibs or the cocoa nibs, I don't think they come through as strongly as I was hoping they would be.
Well, I can't speak to how strongly you thought they might come through. I get plenty of chocolate. And I think it's very well balanced. I get all 3 flavors really well. But I hear what you're saying. If you want to have more chocolate, then there should be more chocolate. So, but and it could actually, I do know what you're saying. I mean, it could have a little bit more chocolate in it, but it's great like it is.
Yeah, it's a different beer from what I imagined, but sometimes you put together a recipe and it comes out and it's like, well, this is good. It's not what I thought it was going to be, but it's still good.
So if you were to do this again, what I'm hearing is you'd add more cacao nibs.
I think I would double the amount of, I'd do 200 grams of cacao nibs or cocoa nibs, or 7 ounces. I think I would keep the cinnamon stick the same, and I think I would keep the little ancho chilies. And I say small ancho chilies. It's probably, each of these small ancho chilies is probably half the size of what I would call a normal ancho chili. I didn't weigh them, but I kept the seeds in there. But I get the flavor of the ancho. I get the flavor of those chilies, and I also get that cinnamon. It's funny that the cinnamon didn't come out when I was bottling it.
Yeah, it's there now. And of course, Alton Brown would tell you to weigh everything.
Yeah.
You got to weigh it exactly. Small is not a good descriptor.
And then we would see him from the viewpoint of his oven.
Yes.
So yeah, so what is your favorite out of the triad of the three?
During the video shoot, I said the coconut beer, but I'm changing my vote. It's a do-over. It's like the Brexit. I'm going with the mole now because I really like it. I mean, it's really appealing to me a bunch. Of course, it's the last one we're drinking, which I guess means if you hand me a Budweiser now, I'd be in. Yeah, I like this too. Hand me a bowling ball.
No, I think I think one thing is it's warmed up a bit.
Yeah,
it's a little warmer than it was in the kitchen. So maybe the nuances of the flavors are coming out and tasting. I'm definitely tasting a lot more of the chili.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get a lot more chili all of a sudden, it's got that raisin kind of thing that anchos do, but also I get just a little bit of that kind of vegetal character that I would expect more from a green or an undried chili. But I really picked up a note of that right when you said I get more ancho. It's like, oh man, where'd that come from? So I think as it warms up, it's exposing more layers. Yeah.
And one of the benefit of the ancho, I think, is that I don't get a lot of heat. Are you getting heat?
No heat. I'm not packing any heat.
Of course, my heat receptors are dulled. My son, Drew, who just went back up to college at the University of Washington, and we just got our heart broken by Alabama the other day. We got rolled over by the tide. But we were cooking a Chinese dish, and we had this pepper oil. And I said, you need to taste your ingredients. He's making these meatballs with the pepper oil. And I said, taste your ingredients. So, I said, stick your little finger in there and taste it. And I stuck my finger in there. I was like, oh, that's not too hot. Right. And he stuck his finger in there and tasted it and spent about 15 minutes washing his mouth out with the with the faucet. So so maybe I'm not the best judge of heat nowadays. But I think it's a good balance. I think I'm real happy with the way these turned out, and I'm glad that I did 12 of the base, and then split off the rest, because it's a nice balance of those beers. Boy, brewing is fun, Steve. Don't you think?
It's the most fun you can ever spend your money on, at Steve's Brew Shop. Located in the heart of Fayetteville.
Behind the Come and Go.
Yes, at the corner of College and Township.
Right next to the tattoo parlor.
That's right.
What you need to do is wait until Steve gets his native brewer's license, so you can buy some Arkansas beer from him and then drink it in the parking lot and then go get a tattoo.
That's right. And then there's also a dog grooming place 2 doors down. So beer, dog grooming, and tattoos. That's an interesting weekend.
Well, you bring your dog in if you're from out of town. Bring your dog in, have it groomed, get your beer ingredients, and then afterwards get a little tattoo.
Yeah, that way you can remember where you've been and where you're going.
All right, Steve. This is the first. I hope this has been. Hope people are entertained and not annoyed by all the dogs running around and all that craziness. That's a chickadee in the background. You hear the chickadee?
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the first of. It's starting to get, now the sun's going down. It's starting to get chilly.
It's a little nippy. little cacao nibby.
But this is a fine way to start out the new year, and 2017. Who'd have thunk it? I thought we'd have flying cars and space stations by now, and people living on the moon. But oh well. I'll just browse my copies of Omni magazine from the from the 80s. All right, Steve. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, James.
Well, thanks again to Steve. I think it was the combination of the beer and the good weather that brought out the goofiness in both of us. Plus being harassed by the dogs and dive bombed by the little private plane. What a wacky episode. At least there weren't any wind chimes in the background. There's a saving grace. We have fun. If you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com. And please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Check out our support link where you can throw a couple of bucks into the tip jar by subscribing financially to our podcasts. Be sure to check out our DVDs, Extract Brewing and Partial Mashing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, and Introduction to Wine Kits. You can find them all on our site. Get a free Basic Brewing bottle opener with any DVD combo, and you can check out our Basic Brewing shirts in the store as well. You can find our log books, so you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer. Check all that out at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody who's continued to click on our Amazon.com link. We appreciate the support there. Our featured products this week that were purchased through the link are One Pan Wonders, fuss-free meals for your sheet pan, Dutch oven, skillet, roasting pan, casserole, and slow cooker. And Nerf Doomland's Lawbringer Blaster. Thanks, everybody. And remember, I can't tell who bought what, so no worries there. Just click on the Amazon.com logo on our site the next time you feel like Amazon shopping. We greatly appreciate your support. Don't forget, you can also join the American Homebrewers Association and subscribe to Brew Your Own magazine as well through the associate links on basicbrewing.com. That's all until next time. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is brought by Kelly Dodson. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. Talk to you next time, everybody. So long.